Hello everyone. So just like everybody else, I was hopping on a trend and I was seeing a lot of posts related to ChatGPT Wrapped, just like Spotify had it for the 2025 where it gives you top playlists, top artists that you have listened. And on the same theme, there was a lot of news that ChatGPT has launched something called Your Year with ChatGPT. So where you can analyze all your chats and you can see your usage and the questions do you ask and all of that. And on Reddit as well, there are a lot of talks about this, different types of prompts to try and see what works, what not. But looks like ChatGPT officially announced this, like they wanted to they officially announced this that now anyone can go and access and see their share and review what they've asked and all of that. So seeing that trend and also this was pretty interesting, and people are also like creating apps on this specific idea that you give it your chats and then you analyze it analyzes all of your previous chats and then you can extract some formats of it or any specific information that you want to be summarized on your entire year. But I feel like most of these apps want your access to your chats and this might not be safe enough. And so I wanted to test it out, how it works and how my year looks like. So what I did was I opened up my ChatGPT account, and since I didn't know the exact option to access it, I simply asked what is ChatGPT Wrap, and then when it gave me information that this is what ChatGPT offers about your year with ChatGPT, and it asked me that if you are ready, I can trigger it now. And I said yes, but unfortunately, it had this error where it says fail to fetch template. And then I asked why. It specifically mentioned that some work or enterprise account might not get access to it. And that was the reason. And I am using my company's account for almost all of the conversations. And this was a big blocker because most of my technical issues, most of my project related scenarios, and all of those questions are in my this enterprise account chat. And this is a huge blocker because I do not use my personal one for this kind of stuff. So looks like this thing is not gonna work for me. But then I used my solution oriented approach and came up with another idea. What I did was by taking inspiration from a couple different people and how they were using the prompt, I came up with this one. So what it does is you are basically asking ChatGPT to use the memory and conversation history. And I know that there are issues with ChatGPT's memory, but it has done almost like 80% of it has reached 80% of accuracy with all the responses that it gave me on my chat. So I simply asked it to review it and discuss about any past chats and memory, and then infer any habits, work habits, interests, goals, and how I tend to use ChatGPT. Then I also asked it to propose like title and a short summary for my role or what I did, top patterns, what skills I worked on. Based on those skills, what sort of predictions are you looking for me in my 2026 professional year? How will that look like? And then some more informations like I've mentioned, like if it is the information that you have is too thin, briefly ask like about do follow ask follow-up questions without just doing any hallucinations and giving random data. So it did, and then finally I wanted to have this in a presentable format where I can share it and present it instead of like a textual message. So I asked it to give me all of this in a React dashboard that I can have a visual, app sort of thing where I can show it all. So this is what it came up with. It gave me the idea, the themes, the title, and what how I used it, what were the type top recurring context, because I'm an AI automation solutions architect. So I used all of these tools and most of my queries were moving around this. And after this, I did ask like what other, other creative options I could add to the same sections. And it did give me like a couple different options. Some were good enough and some were, very lame that I asked it. And then finally, once we had like the final idea of what I wanted, I used it. And then it gave me this entire code like of the React dashboard of how it would look like. And this is what it came up. So yeah, so this is what it turned out.
How I have worked in 2025 and the summary of my tasks completed or questions asked to ChatGPT, and I wanted to see in overall where my focus had been, what was my high level summary, and this is what I've created. So I can see the usage patterns. I can see some of the superpowers, some automation milestones achieved, and then some possibilities for my 2026. So let's see what it is. Title was Architect of Automated Possibilities. My wrapped summary, what I used it for. I can also filter it out on the strategy and the projects and systems that I built, some of the or the projects that I worked on or the projects that I built, and some of the identity and philosophical stuff as well. So that sounds very interesting. Okay, so how I have used ChatGPT on workflow and architectural design, triggers, webhooks, nodes, because this is exactly what I do, and I have a lot of questions to ask on a regular basis. And these are the summaries of what I've worked on, then the content and storage systems, then some of the personal experiments that I did. I'm also trying out IELTS prep and the fitness stuff, holiday planning, all of that. How I can also go to section navigator on 2026 forecast, projects, systems that I created. That must be interesting. Parallel career paths. Okay, so these are, as identified by ChatGPT, these are my superpowers. And if I think it's systems first thinking, persona driven designs, then for the projects and milestones. So let's see what 2026 is all about. That is actually very interesting. Okay, so some of the systems that I built that didn't exist before. Hmm. Yep. What I was on the verge of building. That's interesting. Very cool.